The moment I found out my sister was getting married, my heart should have been full of joy. A wedding is meant to be a celebration of love, of family, of unity. But instead, I was met with something far colder. She looked me straight in the eye and told me that I wasn't invited. There was no hesitation, no softening of the blow, just blunt rejection. I was stunned. After everything we had been through together, after the years of growing up under the same roof, how could she cut me out of one of the most important days of her life? What she didn't realize in that moment was that her cruelty was about to awaken a side of me she never thought existed. By the time the day of her wedding came, the venue she had so carefully chosen would no longer be standing, and she would finally understand what it meant to underestimate me. Growing up, my relationship with my sister had always been complicated. I was the quiet one, the one who kept to myself, while she thrived on being the center of attention. She had the admiration of our relatives, the praise, the spotlight. I learned to live in her shadow, taking the scraps of affection where I could find them. But even then, I never resented her. Not until the subtle differences began to reveal themselves. My achievements were minimized, dismissed as luck, while hers were celebrated loudly. When family gatherings came, I often found myself ignored, my words brushed aside, my place at the table a reluctant afterthought. The truth was, I had always been seen as less, because of the color of my skin, because I didn't fit their image of what family should look like. The years of quiet exclusion built up like a pressure cooker inside me, but I swallowed it all down, telling myself that blood was thicker than prejudice. That illusion shattered when my sister's engagement came. At first, I tried to be supportive. I congratulated her, offered help, even suggested ideas for her big day. But the responses were short, cold, almost dismissive. I brushed it off, thinking the stress of planning was getting to her. Then came the moment I'll never forget, when she told me directly, without hesitation, that I wouldn't be invited. She didn't bother with excuses. She said it plainly, with that familiar superiority in her tone, as though my presence would ruin the perfection of her carefully crafted day. The room spun as I processed her words. I felt the sting of every moment I had been excluded, every careless remark, every time I had been reminded I was different. This wasn't just about a wedding. It was about a lifetime of rejection, crystallized into one final insult. As the weeks went by, I watched from a distance as preparations unfolded. The invitations went out, the decorations were chosen, and the venue, a lavish estate that she had boasted about endlessly, became the centerpiece of her dream. Pictures circulated through family chats that I was, of course, not included in. Every update felt like salt in an open wound. But while she flaunted her plans, I was making my own. If she thought I would quietly accept her erasure, she had underestimated just how much strength silence can hold. I had connections she didn't know about, resources she never cared to ask about. And with each day that passed, the plan to take away the very thing she treasured most grew sharper in my mind. The night before the wedding, the estate stood adorned in lights, its gardens manicured, its halls ready to host hundreds of guests. It was everything she had wanted, grand, elegant, flawless. But perfection has a fragile edge. As dawn broke on the morning of her wedding, chaos erupted. The estate staff arrived to find the gates locked, the power cut, and the grounds in disarray. The lavish decorations were gone, removed overnight as though they had never existed. Furniture sat piled outside, the floral arrangements had vanished, and the estate manager, furious and confused, declared the venue unfit for the event. Guests began to arrive to nothing but confusion and whispers. Their perfectly chosen outfits wasted on an empty shell of a place. And my sister, the bride who had so proudly excluded me, was left standing in the ruins of her own arrogance. I didn't need to be there to see her rage, her tears, her disbelief. Word traveled quickly, and soon enough the family chat, this time one I was not excluded from, was filled with frantic messages. The wedding had been ruined. The guests had gone home. The bride was inconsolable. My sister's perfect day had vanished into thin air, just like my place in her life had. And for the first time, I felt the weight of justice. It wasn't about revenge alone. It was about reclaiming the power I had been denied for so long. It was about showing her and everyone else who had dismissed me That I was not invisible, not powerless, not disposable. In the quiet that followed, I realized something important. Destroying the venue hadn't just been about taking away her day. It had been about giving myself back mine. For years I had let myself be diminished, erased, treated as less than. But in that moment, I had reminded myself that I existed, that my worth was not theirs to define. Family may share blood, but it doesn't always share love. Sometimes the people closest to us can wound us the deepest. And sometimes the only way to heal is to step outside of the shadows they cast. So I ask you, how many of us have been left out, diminished, erased by those we call family? How many of us have been told, directly or indirectly, that we don't belong at the table? My story may sound extreme, but the truth beneath it is one many know too well. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we stopped waiting for their approval and started creating our own place. Even if it means tearing down the walls they've built to keep us out. Because sometimes, the greatest act of revenge is not destruction, it's liberation.